Har du noen gang bare lukket øynene og lyttet?
Oslo is growing. More and more people move here to work and live. I was born and raised in Oslo, and I have witnessed the city's growth and transformation from a provincial capital at the periphery of Europe to a vibrant city with more than 200 nationalities. When I was a boy, we lived in a small wooden house in Rodeløkka. We had an outhouse in the backyard and no hot water. It was during these days and years the first metro line was opened in Oslo. The city was really too small for a metro system, but the politicians were ambitious and foreseeing. Today, the metros and trams are the backbone of the public transport system. Along with many others, we moved out to the new suburbs along the metro line in the late 60s, to an apartment building with hot water, central heating, and water closet. As the national economy grew, so did the people's welfare. Private cars were the symbol of individual freedom, and the urban development was defined by cars. It was 8 lanes right here at the square outside the city hall. It was different time. No one seems to care that the cities were polluted. My uncles worked at the Oslo shipyard. Back then, they flushed pure mercury straight into the fjord. The harbor was dominated by ships and traffic. We had to travel out of the town if we wanted to take a swim. It was not until we got the toll ring in place in the 90s that we were able to finance a tunnel underneath the city center and divert the traffic away. Today, the waterfront has been reopened to the public, The fjord is again breathing and you can swim wherever you like. Now, we take new steps to make the city even greener and more livable. Oslo is a compact city, neatly located between the green woods and the blue sea. This is a unique combination of fresh water, wild forests, and hectic city life. That is what I love most with Oslo. As most cities, Oslo has gone through a tremendous development. In my lifetime alone, the city has grown with more than 200,000 inhabitants. For the first time in history, more than half of the world's population lives in the cities. In Europe, the figure is even higher. My generation has benefited greatly on modernization and growth. The downside is that the pressure on the world's resources now is reaching its breaking point. Our wealth and growth are now creating rapid climate change. Combating climate change cannot be left to someone else, somewhere else, at another time. We need to act here and now.
Sammen har vi i årtier gjort byen bedre å leve i. Innbyggere, næringsliv og ulike politiske flertall har rensket opp fjorden, åpnet opp elver og vannveier. Vi har gjort søppel til ressurser. Vi har bygd opp kollektivtilbudet og står bak verdens største elbilsatsing. Vi er i ferd med å gjøre Oslo til en sykkelby og tar et kraftig kvelertak på CO2-utslippene. Vi gjør det med solid folkelig forankring. Nesten 9 av 10 Oslo-borgere mener byen må bidra til at verden når 2-gradersmålet. Det var disse resultatene som gjorde at Oslo vant 8 av 12 kategorier i konkurransen om å bli europeisk miljøhovedstad i 2019. Europa sa tydelig fra at Oslo kan være en rollemodell for verdens byer. Det forplikter i en verden der byene både forurenser mest og vokser mest. Og ikke minst skal vi gjøre det for oss selv. Det er nå vi bestemmer hvilken by vi skal leve i. 2019 skal vi bruke til å vise fram alt vi har oppnådd. Og sammen med verden skal vi finne ut hvordan vi kan bli en enda bedre by.
Global climate change is also local climate change. Here in Oslo, transport is responsible for 60% of the emissions. By making it easier to use public transportation, less people will be dependent on private cars. This is a win-win. Not only we reduce CO2 emissions, we also reduce air pollution and queues on the roads. Some say it takes courage to make these changes. I would turn this statement into a question. Who dare not to make these changes?
We have promised the citizens in Oslo that we in 2019 shall have a livable city with large car-free areas. That will make it a more friendly city. We will have more space for pedestrians, for children, for bicyclists, and we will also reduce the pollution that we have in the air, because people are dying from the high polluted air in Oslo, and we can't accept that.
Politicians now in Oslo have said that they want 20% less car journeys inside of Oslo, and additionally have the city center free of cars. So how that affected us is basically to say we have to speed up. We have to speed up the process to get new metro lines, get new trams, get new buses, and new modes of transportation, car sharing or what that might be.
This is a development that is going one direction. Less cars, fewer cars, and better facilities for biking and for walking. So it's no question about that. It's just the speed and how we maintain the good atmosphere in the city while we are doing this.
This is a large area. It's not only a couple of blocks, it's the whole downtown. So they put the vision before and said, we're going to do this. And now they're investigating how, which streets to start with.
Our goal is in the next 3-4 years to build 60 kilometers of new bike lanes and bike tracks. In the past few years, the city has only been able to build like 1, 2, 3 kilometers of new infrastructure. So bumping that up is a massive increase. The former government was very positive for cycling. They weren't that eager to remove car parking to make space for bike lanes. With the new city council, that's no longer a problem.
Oslo is one of the fastest growing cities in Europe, and we are increasing the inhabitant number with like 10 to 11,000 new inhabitants each year. And that is of course a huge challenge. We have to give people the possibility to live in the city without having their own private car. And what we see now is that it's a lot of car sharing systems that are popping up. A lot of families want to live near the city center, which they didn't do before, but they don't have their own private car.
We have to observe all growth and journeys with public transportation, bicycling and walking. And actually we said walking first, the more they walk the better, and then bicycling, and then public transportation, and then come cars, etc.
To me it seems like the Norwegians are used to using their body to get around. The public transit here is really functioning well, and there is a lot of great areas for pedestrians, so a lot of people do walk as well.
So this is one of the central streets in Oslo. It's a very popular shopping street, and it's also an important link between the city center down there and a residential area like the hip district, Grünerløkka. It's a totally new kind of street in Norway. There's a lot of shops here and they need to get delivery of the goods. So we decided that we're gonna make it difficult to drive here. It's not gonna be allowed to park, but it's gonna be accessible for cars.
We are now removing a lot of the parking places that we have in the city center areas to give more space for bicyclists and pedestrians. And we have already started to build new bicycling lanes and roads.
Yeah, so all this street, all parking has been removed. Yeah, it just happened last week, like they started doing the work last week. So you're here at a very good time, because right now this street is being remade with new asphalt and removing car parking to make space for bike lane and bus lane. And you can see the trucks in the back with the asphalt. We left some space to put the red asphalt that we use on bike lanes. On the other side, they're making a bus lane. So when you cycle down, you cycle in the bus lane, and up you cycle in a bike lane.
I've been helping a big new urban development within this downtown core, building hundreds of new dwellings and blocks, and the precondition for that development is that it is to be car free. So it's a precondition for every new development within the downtown core.
What we're looking at is a street, it's actually a bridge. It's had bike lanes for many years, but what we did this year, and we're doing that all over town, is that we're upgrading our existing infrastructure, because Oslo unfortunately has a lot of narrow bike lanes. So a quick fix for us that doesn't require a lot of planning and years and rebuilding, is to just make them as wide as possible and then narrow the car lane as much as possible. Minimum standard for cars and then maximum for bikes.
Oslo is not known for being like a really bike-friendly city, and to like go out and sort of like do a statement on it, we're going to do this. It's really great.
Yeah. There's more people biking every year.
Yeah.
Every winter you see more people out winter biking.
Will they manage to do it in the timeline they said? That remains to be seen, but at least we feel like there's a good movement forward. It's good news for us.
You can hear in the background that they just started working on the street. What they're doing is that they're putting new asphalt, removing the car parking, giving that space to bikes, and then this cycle track is being given to the pedestrians because, as you can see, the sidewalk here is way too narrow for the number of pedestrians in this street.
And we see now that a lot of new citizens in Oslo are using their bikes each day to the work, to schools, to universities, which is a very, very positive development for the city.
These are city center buses, and if you see it's got 4 doors, and the reason for that is to make it as efficient as possible for people to go out and in inside the bus, because if it takes too long, of each stop, the journey from me and you will take too long, and then we're not going to take the bus, we're going to take the car.
In Oslo, it's kind of based on trust that you do have a ticket when you board. So when you buy your metro pass, you can choose to do it in the metro app, and you can buy anything from a day, a single trip, or a month, or even a year.
Half of our clients use an app, and with that app we show that you have paid, and it's a blinking kind of picture to really make sure that you pay today.
And it speeds up getting on, and it speeds up the buses getting there, so you're almost never late. They run really efficiently, so like 20 people getting on board a bus takes maybe a minute. Just showing them the picture and you sit down, that's it.
It takes you 10 minutes to walk from the central station to basically everywhere in like downtown Oslo Centrum. So walk.
So the city's had city bikes for many years, but this year it's a whole new system, new lighter bikes, a lot more racks going further out of the city center, and the increase of usage has been massive. The first 4 months it was used 1 million times, and that's twice as much with the old system.
The old bike was like, it was heavy, it wasn't working properly, but the people who made it now, they made it into a good bike.
I see new city bikes every week, just like they're building new stations and dockings, so it's like it's really growing.
The bike share system is fantastic. I've been a user for many years. They implemented a new system this year, which is easier, better bikes, and it's easy to pick up the bike, it's easy to find a spot to deliver it.
And they've made them a lot more solid. I know that the computer system as well, in order to rent the bike, has been largely improved.
If you have the possibility to easily access a bus or a metro, and then afterwards take a city bicycle to the station, those integrated mobility forms, those together are more likely to make you want to take those means instead of the car.
You don't see the sporty types on those bikes. It's normal people, no helmet, dresses, skirts, whatever. It's like a really important measure to normalize cycling in the city.
It is very exciting to have politicians who says we're good, but we have to be a lot better, both for the environmental concerns and responsibility that Norway Oslo have, but also we have the potential to make the city a good place for companies and private persons.
It's one thing to get rid of the cars, but you still need to kind of find a solution for those cars. It's not like they're gonna disappear overnight.
I think it will definitely happen, and I think they will be promoted by this within the competition between cities. So Stockholm, Copenhagen, Helsinki, these cities will look to Oslo and say, wow, that really made your city so much greater than ours, so we have to follow.
See when we get the cold winter that also the air will be less polluted. I think that people will be very happy with the changes that we are now doing. Of course there are criticism, there are discussions on it because people are afraid of what they are going to do with their cars. But anyway, I think that as long as we give people good alternatives, I think that everyone will be happy.
Da jeg var liten så syklet jeg ofte til og fra skolen og til butikken eller til fotballtrening. Jeg jobber som budsjåfør for skjenker, og jobben går ut på at vi plukker opp varene på Filipstad, og så leverer vi varer stort sett innenfor Ring 2. Inne i sentrum så kommer man seg ofte raskere frem med sykkel. Det er blitt mye vanskeligere å levere varer med bil. Man litt tettere på miljøet rundt seg, så man hører jo folk litt bedre hvis de vil si hei eller ta bilder av sykkelen. Det er en litt god følelse, for at man ikke er med på å forurense unødvendig i sentrum. Luftforurensning er litt noe man ofte merker direkte på kroppen. Så det å være på sykkel er jo en av de tingene som kan gjøre luften i sentrum bedre. Der føler jeg med å bidra litt.
Jeg tror veldig at aktive byrom er glade byrom. At hvis folk bruker byrommene rundt seg og kommer i prat med folk rundt om i bymiljøet, så får vi det mye triveligere i byen der vi bor i.
Jeg har ikke lært meg å sykle ennå, men jeg skal snart lære meg å gjøre det.
Oslo blir en bitteliten by når man sykler.
Jeg liker veldig godt stemningen i de litt eldre delene av Oslo.
Oslo sentrum er ofte fint å fotografere fordi det er både mennesker, men også mye fine bygninger.
Jeg synes det blir bedre med sånne små oaser eller sånne små steder der man får litt ro til å puste. Jeg tror ikke jeg er den eneste som liksom setter pris på å kunne ta en pust i bakken og kikke meg litt rundt.